everybody, this is James,
Marco,
Nabil,
and Mikey.
and this is the Movie Pals Podcast, episode 207. Today we are reviewing The Long Walk. Let's get into it.
They say you shouldn't make friends on a long walk, but I sort of like you three. Let's be musketeers. All for one.
One for all.
Nah, and again, I need to hear it louder. All for one.
And one for all.
The only guarantee you have as a human being is that you are going to die. And if you're lucky, you get to choose how you spend those last moments.
So, The Long Walk, currently sitting at 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. The description here is a group of teenage boys compete in an annual contest known as The Long Walk, where they must maintain a certain walking speed or get shot. It's kind of...
Does that mean that's a pretty good summation of it?
This is directed by Francis Lawrence, who did Water for Elephants in 2011, and he's actually directed every single Hunger Games since Catching Fire. This is written by J.T. Molnar, who wrote Outlaws and Angels, and then he also directed and wrote Strange Darling, a movie Mikey and I got to see, which was quite unique. So
Pretty good, actually.
yeah, definitely. This is based on the novel by Stephen King, released on September 12th, 2025 in theaters with a budget of $20 million. This stars Cooper Hoffman as Raymond Garrity, David Jonsson as Peter McVise, Garrett Waring as Stebbins, Tut Nayot as Arthur Baker, Charlie Plummer as Gary Barkovich, Ben Wang as Hank Olson, Joshua Odjick as Collie Parker, Mark Hamill as the Major, Roman Griffin Davis as Thomas Curley, and Judy Greer as Mrs. Ginny Garrity. So I'm assuming no one has read this book by Stephen King.
This is the Movie Pals podcast. I don't understand what you're talking about. Books.
Well, that's why my question is, like, did you have any history of this or any Stephen King novels in that manner? I know this is our second Stephen King adaptation we're actually reviewing this year, after Life of Chuck. So I don't think I ever asked you guys outside of like, hey, have you guys read a lot of Stephen King? I know, Marco, you've read a decent amount.
Yeah, I've read Stephen King books, but not the specific one. So I think this one he wrote under his pseudonym. The last name's Bachman.
This was actually his first thing he ever wrote, but it wasn't published till after, I think, Carrie or something like that, if I recall. Because then after the success, then it was released. So, yeah. So, I mean, I've read quite a few Stephen King stuff. Especially Dark Tower wise and stuff like that. But never this one. Honestly, I'd never heard of it until this movie was announced. So, this was completely new for me coming in. So,
same.
Yeah. I mean, I read The Shining. That was a long time ago, though. So.
Oh, really? That's a big one.
I think that's the only one I've read from.
Okay. I mean, hey. Let's just get some quick impressions of it. What did you think going in? Did the film meet your expectations? I'll start with you, Nabil.
You know, I didn't know what to think of the film. When I saw the trailer, it seemed pretty straightforward. It was like, is it like a red herring? Is there going to be something more intense? And the film, I wouldn't say it met my expectations. It wasn't what I expected it to be. There was a lot more heart in the story than I was going into thinking that there was going to be, basically, especially with like Mark Hamill being in there and kind of being hyped up in the trailer. I thought it was going to be a bit more, I don't know, intense with the violence and the horror aspect of it, but not that it was a bad thing. Like, I enjoyed it. I just was kind of going in, not knowing what to expect, and watching it saying, took a different route, and I think I'm okay with that.
Wait, you're saying this wasn't as violent as you thought it would be?
No, I mean, it has violence, obviously rated R, but it's not what I was expecting it to be. Not in the aspect of what they were. I mean, the premise, again, very simple, right? You're walking and you're gonna get shot if you're not keeping up with speed. That's there, and they make sure you see it. But at the same time, I don't know. I just expected there to be a bit more. I think I was expecting more horror than I was violence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Marco?
I went in without really seeing any trailer. If one did pop up, I would kind of like turn away because I wanted to go in blind. But I would say it didn't meet my expectations in a good way. Where kind of similar to Nabil, I was expecting something supernatural or horror, And with a Stephen King adaptation, you can't really tell whether it's going to go that route or just be kind of straightforward. And I kind of like that they kept it somewhat grounded. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah. What about you, Mikey?
Yeah, kind of similar. I didn't really know what to expect. Like, you see the trailer, and as Nabil mentioned earlier, they hype up the major a little bit in the trailer, and you also see like little tidbits of like people trying to like quote unquote escape the walk. Right, that like people are like running off the street, and I thought when I saw the trailer at least that there would be a little bit more of that aspect of like people trying to escape and maybe some like hunting them down and that kind of stuff. And it's really just a long walk. Like, it's literally just a long walk. And while that sounds kind of boring, I feel like, I mean, this movie still, I didn't have too much expectations of like how it was going to be other than some tidbits, but it definitely was a good movie. I liked it, and it met at least my expectations of being entertained for the 2-hour long movie it is. So
I mean, I'm kind of like you guys. I went in. I mean, I saw the trailers, but the trailers don't really show you much outside of just walking and kids getting killed. So I think for me, I was surprised by how much like the characters really made the movie work. Like, I liked a lot of the characters, and everybody kind of gets like a pretty good decent amount of time. I thought they did a really good job with that, and I really liked the bonding of the two main leads, I would say. That was really powerful, and that was really unexpected because I had no idea. Because you see this, I was thinking like a Hunger Games thing or Maze Runner, kind of a YA novel kind of a feel to it all. And while there's still aspects of that, it definitely dives into some pretty dark territory. But I agree with Marco, though; it's a lot more grounded outside. I mean, yeah, it's still like a dystopian future kind of thing, but for the most part, there's not like a monster technically, like a supernatural monster. I'll say that much, like an it,
Right.
Or some kind of creature like a Cujo, Marco. So
a dog costume.
He jumps over a Volkswagen bug there to attack a woman and a child. But outside of that, yeah, I had a good time. Overall, then let's just jump into like so that's just the expectation was like. So did everybody like the movie overall?
Yeah, I liked it, man. I thought that, like you said, man, they made the ensemble cast work. They had a lot of familiar faces: Cooper Hoffman, David Jonsson, Ben Wang, also who's in the new Karate Kid movie, the recent one. But I was curious, like, how all this would work, and I think they made it work with everyone kind of riffing off each other and kind of like trying to get to know each other as things went on. And also, like, they did a good balance with the darkness of the movie, with like people getting shot and dying, and also with the levity and the humor. And I think that kind of kept you interested. It wasn't too dark, but it wasn't too light. I think it just rode the line just right.
Yeah. What about you, Mikey?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it blended like the story stuff is like pretty basic, but the characters kind of worked really well together. And that's really carries the movie. And it's really like it's nice to see a movie that just has really good dialogue and characters that maybe you could relate to. There's a lot of different characters, and they all kind of come together as like a group of people that just don't have a lot of similarities outside of this walk, but the walk kind of forces them to be together, and they kind of get a bond and it's just cool to see, and it just works for the film, even though it doesn't have like a lot of stuff going on. There's still stuff going on. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, that's what you told me. And Mikey saw this, by the way, together once again. And that's the first thing I think that's the first thing you told me when we left the theater.
Yeah, it's just there's not much happening, but there's still enough to keep your interest with the characters, their dialogue, and like how they're all influencing each other. It just kind of keeps you going. Keeps you.
Did you guys do the
movie.
Challenge?
On the treadmills?
Mikey would never make the challenge, so.
I feel like if it's in there, I'd be able to do it. Nabil, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, who am I to argue with a film about a bunch of teenagers bonding over each other who have nothing and are trying to, find meaning in their life and end up having a band of brothers? Like, that's us. We're a band of brothers. I don't think we have the same background as these poor guys. But
I was thinking about that, by the way, throughout this. I was like, I would do this with everybody.
Yeah,
Mikey would die first, but outside of that,
maybe not necessarily that, but something kind of more lighthearted.
Michael's like, I'm more of a Stand By Me kind of guy,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go find a dead body instead.
That's the adventure. I think it was a very good portrayal. Like Stephen King does a really good job, and I think Francis Lawrence, especially with this film, really shows the way that they kind of organically formed bonds in this film, and you really do connect with a lot of characters, especially Ray and Peter. Like, obviously that's the point. Like they're the leads over here, and you're seeing that connection. But it is a very like genuine connection, I feel, and it's portrayed well. I really love David Jonsson. I like him in a lot of things that he's done, and he really shines in this film.
I think I've only ever seen him in Alien Romulus, honestly. So
he was in Romulus. He was on a show, or is on a show called Industry on HBO that I've seen him on a lot, and he's great in there too. Okay. But I think that we do get a lot of interaction with the other characters, but we don't get a lot of their background. Not as much as you get with Ray and Pete. So I feel like with how long they're walking through, they especially like as you get through the middle of the film onwards, the other characters are you're not really vested anymore into their story. They're just kind of there. Like it's like a check-in. Like, hey, what's going on with this person? Oh no, they may not be making it. They may not, they're not doing so hot. So I think with the exception of Ben Wing's character Hank, you get a bit more of him, and that's a bit interesting, especially how things end up for him. But in general, I feel like there could have been a little bit more camaraderie building on. Like they start strong, then everything kind of wanes off, and you focus on the two leads, and then as everybody's kind of nearing their demise, you're starting to see just a little tidbit of what's going on with them, and you move on. So that was the one weak part I think there was on that as far as the relationships are concerned. But overall, like I felt vested in their journeys.
I would say though, like for me, I think the Raymond and Peter's camaraderie is really strong.
Yeah,
so
yeah. That's what I'm saying. The core, I think, are great.
I didn't need much more outside of that. The other people are kind of just there. I mean, there are hints about how people are, especially with like Stebbins and Barkovich, and it's kind of those things where it's revealed through their actions. And I think it was really smart of them to do it that way. Like in typical Stephen King fashion, there's just a guy that's just fucking bonkers, like for no reason.
Being an asshole for no reason, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, whoa.
But one thing that they do differently in this as opposed to other movies where there's a bonkers guy is that this situation that they're in where they're tasked to like walk and keep going and survive no matter what, in a way it strangely bonded them in some way. Like even like when it got rough for one of them, even if they had an issue or giving each other shit, they would, try to encourage the other person.
That's different. I didn't think that was going to happen, Marco. Like watching this, I assumed there was going to be someone like, oh, someone's going to get pushed out or something, but it does not happen in that way. They're all like on each other's side somewhat to a point, and they understand that like only one of us gets to win,
Yeah, they're really the way they are because of the system that the major has in place of the way this thing works. And they're all dealing with that stress and that fear.
For me, especially, I think it's just a lot. There's a lot of interactions in this film where I teared up like 2 or 3 times in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. The emotions got to me, boys. I turned to Marco.
He got the feels.
There's a few scenes I'll talk about in spoilers. The ones that got to me the most, and it was just like, oh, my heart. So, but I thought about it. I was like, I would do that for my boys. So overall with the plot though, we talked about kind of what didn't work, what didn't. The main focus on the characters. What did you guys think of Raymond, played by Cooper Hoffman? That is the late Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. His debut was in Licorice Pizza, obviously one of my favorites.
It's a great movie.
What did you think about him, Marco?
I think he did great, man. At first you don't know really what to think of him because they keep it sort of vague, but as you learn why he decided to enter himself in this lottery and do the long walk, he's doing it to prove a point. I don't really want to state too much because I think it might be kind of a spoiler, but it has to do with his family and him wanting to pretty much stand up for what his family believes in. And he's brave, but he's also like extremely nervous, and he played it off really well when he's thinking like how he's going to survive this, and he starts talking to his new BFF Peter, and they start kind of like talking about what they're gonna do in order to win the race and what they're gonna do if they win the prize and whatnot. And I think he does a great job, man. He's a very likable character, and he's he's essentially, I know he's the main character, but he's also like the main part of the main heart of the movie, where he's trying to, I guess, encourage good out of everyone.
Yeah, you see that early on when Curly, I think, it just gets a Charlie horse or something. I don't know. And the reason I put Curly in here is because Roman Griffin Davis is JoJo from JoJo's Rabbit. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just to let you know. That's him. So that's why I put him in there.
Oh,
but
snap.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
so he even tells him, like, get up, come on, get up, you can do it. And he's like really encouraging. He does that a few times with a few people, which I think it really shows he's kind of a leader.
Even to the jerks, like, yeah, he'll snap back at them, and he'll curse back at them and everything, but in a way he also kind of like rallied them, and it's like, come on, you got to keep going, or don't be that way.
I mean, there's even a scene where he kind of rallies them all together, right? Where he's like, they're like F the major, and they were like going, chanting it, right? And he almost got every single person there chanting it with them, even though they don't all like kind of view him the same way. So it's it's
true.
He's very influential. Like someone said, I don't know who it was, but someone said he's like a leader. He's very charismatic as his character. He's very influential. So I thought cool guy.
Mikey's like, he's not really skinny, he's not really fat, he's kind of like in between. So, like, I don't know, he just felt like a normal person. So,
but he looks fat, but he's not. I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm confused. Wouldn't his feet be bleeding even worse? I'm just saying, why was he wearing boots for this thing? Wouldn't you want to wear more comfortable shoes? I'm just saying. Hey, whatever.
Why didn't anyone pack 2 pairs of shoes?
Somebody did pack 2 pairs of shoes. Somebody did have 2 pairs of shoes. I remember somebody on their backpack has another pair of shoes. Yeah.
So the military, they wear boots, right? When they do marches like for miles upon miles. Like I was thinking about that versus like,
too.
Is it smarter to wear the boots for all terrain, or is it smarter to wear tennis shoes? Like I had been thinking about that. I was watching that, seeing what they were.
Dude, all those
Skechers
shoes
with
are
the
like
curved soles.
Yeah, there you go. No, they should wear some like Hokas or something, dude. Hokas, whatever.
Jamie said he's doing it in Crocs. So
I mean, be more comfortable than that, probably. But no, I remember John was in ROTC and he wore boots and his feet were like bleeding. So
yeah, I hear
they were not comfortable at all. And I mean, when I was in ROTC, we marched in dress shoes, and dude, the first few weeks breaking those in is terrible. I had blisters everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was just doing like precision marching, not even like long distance. I can only imagine the distance these guys go. Your shoes would be like, I don't know, man. So
that's why James said, give me Crocs, shorts, and a tank top. I'm all in, baby.
I got this.
Yeah, I would have been like, hey, Peter, hand me that pack of cigarettes. Trust me, I'll be fine. Don't threaten me with a good time. What about Peter? Mikey, you getting into Peter. What did you think of Peter? The unlikely friendship between him and Raymond, just kind of meeting each other. And theoretically, Arthur's added to that too. But for the little, Three Musketeers kind of thing?
Yeah, and I almost think that Raymond and Peter are almost the opposite people. Raymond's coming from his family, doing it for his family, and then Peter really, I mean, he technically does have a family, but he really is a wanderer. He's been going from home to home and that kind of stuff. And he's said he's been, walking his whole life, right? So he's kind of been a loner his whole life. So he's kind of the contrast to Raymond. But he's very positive, and I like that about him. Like, he encourages a lot of his stuff. Like, people are really down, especially Raymond, in a lot of scenes. He's like holding them up while he's sleeping and walking at the same time.
That's a good scene.
So it's like really, like, he's really the guy there that's just there because, he's got nothing else to do almost. I mean, obviously there's more to it than that here, but he's really like I think the glue of the Three Musketeers and the people and the relationships they have. All of them kind of go through him and his positivity and like his outlook on life. And it just really works for not only just Raymond and him, but like I said, the whole group. I feel like he's the glue.
There was a line that he says that really, one of the things that got me was he's saying how positive and upbeat he has to be. And it's like, do you think that it's easy for me to be this positive? Like, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of energy, but I do it, And I was like, I can feel that. I relate to that. Like, that hit me right in the
not just
deeps, it feels.
positive, but the strength to keep going,
right?
And like the goal to have that motivation.
Yep.
Yeah, and they really do become friends. He kind of even brings up at a point. He's like, if you fall, I'm not picking you up, kind of thing. He's like, we got to start like thinking about winning and stuff. But like, he never really falls through with it. He's deep down inside. He's a guy with a heart of gold.
Right.
What about Hank, Ben Wing's character? Well, we'll go back to you, Marco, since you know this character a bit more, or this guy. I think.
I honestly thought like he was gonna be one of the characters that dies like fairly early in the movie. I was like, oh man, they're gonna ace. No, because he's smaller frame. And he's talking up a lot of game and stuff. And I'm like, okay, he's one of the loudest ones. They usually the loudest one is the one that goes. But they did a good job at getting you to like his character, and he's not necessarily like the comedic relief, but
he kind of is though.
He tries to talk
early on. Early on, I think he is a comedic relief.
Yeah, he just tries to talk a big game and tries to like keep up with the big boys because he's smaller frame, so he's trying to show he's tough. And man, there's one scene where, well, it's kind of a spoiler, but it really got me. It includes him, and I was like, dang.
Oh, he loses.
I'll talk about his spoilers. He had his whole gimmick with the gum, and he kept saying, as long as this gum keeps going, then I'll keep going. And I was like, oh man, foreshadowing.
As soon as I saw that, I said, grab the cigarettes.
But he was the zany guy. Even the prize that he wanted was just out there. He says he wanted 10 naked girls, and I was like, oh my god, dude. Jeez,
that is one of their guy conversations.
The most immature answer. Everyone's talking about doing something good, and he's just like, yeah, 10 naked girls. That's what I want.
And then you do find out some stuff about him later when I was like, how old is this guy again?
I do, right? I was like, something doesn't add up here.
Yeah, I was like okay. Mikey, what about Gary Barkovich, the group's just psycho guy? Kind of. Something does happen early on that leads him to maybe you kind of feel for what's going on, but his mind slowly is kind of going away. Did that work for you?
It did, because you know there's going to be people like that, right? I mean, they kind of see the craziness that is the long walk, right? Where the first guy goes down and everybody's kind of affected by it, and I think it changed him.
Which happens in the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, easily.
And by the way, when that does happen, it's kind of intense because I didn't think it was going to be that violent. I was like, oh
yeah. They set the tone right away.
Didn't hold back.
Well, they said that Stephen King actually requested that if they made this a movie, they have to show the kids getting shot, and he wanted that to be a point to show gun violence and wartime and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so it kind of makes sense.
Mikey and I looked it up a little bit. I should have told him this movie originally was written as an allegory to the Vietnam War. So if you just know that in general, that it makes a lot of sense of why this was written out this way. So
yeah, and also I kind of atone this his attitude to PTSD a little bit. He's seen what can happen. Yeah. He got affected by it. Now he's acting kind of crazy, and people are just dying, dropping stones throughout this however many mile walk they're doing over however many days it was, and he's just getting crazier and crazier. And it really does come off. He does a great job. Charlie Plummer does a great job doing it, and he really does kind of seem pretty crazy, and it affected him. And I could see that really happening with this kind of situation in real life. The people going to war are doing this kind of stuff too, I think. So it's kind of sad when you think about it, how these people's minds can just kind of go.
Yeah, no, definitely. Nabil, what about you with Stebbins? He's the guy that is supposed to be kind of the unicorn of this group. He's like a purebred. He's the guy that's supposed to win it all because he looks like he's the most fit. Yeah. He's already talking a lot of mess with people. He doesn't want to talk to anybody else, really. He's kind of just there. He knows what he's supposed to get done with, and he thinks he's going to win.
I mean, we don't get much of his character until really the end of the full reveal. But he is a presence to be known, like you said. He's staying consistent, staying with pace. He I mean, I'm going to spoil a little bit here, but he ends up getting sick or catching pneumonia is what it seems like. But he's pushing through even that as he's going through it all and trying to make it to the end. So he's pretty tough, to be able to manage it. But you don't get a lot of his backstory. He seems a bit disinterested, and I think it's partly because he doesn't want to make the connections, knowing what the end game is. But he's not necessarily antagonistic to anybody. He's not trying to stir up any problem. He's just I'm here doing my thing. I'm going to make it to the end. you guys are going to be idiots and try to bond and then, never see each other again. So that's your issue. So I think that he plays the role well. I think at the very end, though, it is a very good way of like sending off the character. I thought that was a very interesting background that they share, and we find it that he's going to be someone who he goes in with like intention of like I'm the best, but really kind of gets humbled near the end of it. And I think that was a very interesting way. So
he has a lot of knowledge too about the long walk,
About the walk,
right, of the walk itself. Yep.
Yeah,
I like how it showed that his ailment wasn't anything that had to do with strength, but it was like an illness. Like everyone
happened.
had either the bathroom or someone's shoe or something, and he's like you guys said, he's this freaking tank, and it's just like, dude, sometimes it's has nothing to do with that type of strength. Sometimes like an illness or something will just bring you down, and humble you.
very much just like life, So
Yeah,
I thought it was hilarious they do show how they go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's fine.
a little too
And
many
man,
times, and I thought of James the whole time.
The number 2
was
one,
one.
I was like, that's the one that would get me probably.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I was like,
James.
one of the characters goes and mentions like some people can only has to go every 4 or 5 days, and some people
Dude, as soon as
have to
he
go
said
every
that,
day. I was like, no, that's not me.
Yeah,
I'm the
I was
daily.
like-
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes multiple times a day. So what do you
Right.
mean just once? That's insane. I said, hey man, you got to be healthy. Can't be holding that in. You're gonna have a tummy ache. So I was like, and then walking and going pee too. I was like,
yeah,
that
my
might-
God. Oh, you're
that
just
would be
moving things down.
incredibly, especially at a fast pace. That would be really hard to do, man.
You're
I don't think
telling
King
your
would
body
be
to
that
let
bad,
it out.
though. I mean, that one guy just turned around and peed while he was walking.
Which
That's
that was
fine.
hilarious because it's just blasted.
Yeah.
But one guy
man.
just did it while he was walking. Remember, even one guy was like, just do it while you're walking. Who even cares? And I was like, that's going to start chafing.
Dude, I was chuckling in the freaking theater, and I was shaking my head. I was just like, that's a Jimmy move.
I was like, oh, I'm glad this is who I'm known for. Thanks.
Oh man,
Marco, what did you think about the Major?
Hamill pulled it off pretty good, man. I mean, I got to give him credit just because he's Mark Hamill. But there were at the beginning, he did seem a little cheesy at first, but then
I
like
think
as
it's
the
almost
movie-
on purpose, though. Doesn't it seem like that?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a caricature of this, tough military veteran guy that's trying to keep these young kids in check, and at the same time, come off as like this patriotic fatherly figure when really that's not the case.
Mhm.
But he pulled it off well, man. He was menacing. I gotta say, Mark Hamill can be pretty menacing. I don't know if he did something with his voice or if that's just, I know he's a really good voice performer, but he had a nice little raspiness to his voice that just kind of gave him that extra umph whenever he was like talking to people, and it's just like, man, this guy's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, he is the true monster of the movie. So
Yeah. When he was on screen, his presence was known, and it was very ominous. And I think that knowing that he was around, even when he wasn't on screen or we didn't hear him, just kind of gave a little bit of fear that made you feel kind of connected to the group. But yeah, Mark Hamill did great, man.
I don't think we got enough of him, to be honest. I feel like that again, like watching the trailer, he's kind of shown pretty heavily in there, but in the film itself, we get the brief 5 minutes with him at the beginning, and then he's just sprinkled throughout the film until the end.
yeah, the budget was $20 million, bro. You can't have Mark Hamill there all the
Yeah.
time. Come
Mark
on, man.
Hamill,
What are you-
I think we can afford Mark Hamill. I mean, he's fine.
And he's supposed to represent like this system that's been made, kind of like as a 0-win situation.
They talk about it too. They're like, "Oh, where's he go?" Because he does disappear, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
he goes to sleep, takes a shower, and even eats or something." And he just pretends like he's with us the whole time.
Yeah, they're
So-
building up the lore of him is what I think throughout the conversation in general, they talk more about him than you actually see him because they're kind of building that lore about and mystique about who he is and what he's done.
Because
And
he wrote a book too on like the Long Walk or something, right? And that's what
Yeah.
they're quoting it, or it's like an instruction manual. I don't really
instruction,
something like
I think,
that.
is the rules
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else that you guys want to mention? I would probably mention Judy Greer as Raymond's mom. She's only in a few scenes, but I think they're pretty powerful scenes. It's really quite sad.
One of the most powerful scenes is
Yeah.
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 So
I liked Collie Parker, Joshua Odjick, I think his name is. He especially how things end for him. He pretty much is, stays to his morals, that he hates the cops around him and fights to the end. Like,
fights back.
I liked his character. He wasn't about trying to be friends with everybody, but he also wasn't about like picking on the little guy or anything like that too. And he wasn't trying to deal with any of the bullies, and so he was there as a man of the people, we'll say, of the rest of them, and was trying to get to his end. And how things ended, I thought was pretty dope for him as well. So I liked his performance, Joshua. I've never seen him in anything else, so hoping to see him whatever else work he ends up doing.
He will be in the new It Welcome to Derry show, by the way.
Oh, there you go. That's cool.
You'll be seeing him soon in that one. So, all right, let's get into like the tone of the film. I know that we talked about the bonding and stuff like that. What did you guys think about the overall feel of like the survival, endurance? You're seeing these kids struggle, like the will to live, to survive, make it through the night. Did that work for you guys? Start with you, Mikey.
Yeah, it did. I feel like they didn't go into a lot of it, but they kind of just give this like little descriptions here and there of like how the world really is. Like you said, it's a dystopian kind of future, right? But you don't really see much of the outside of the world other than the walk itself. But you do get to see like these like sweeping landscaping shots. You get to see like a cat that's like blind, doesn't have any eyes. Like there's just like, crazy visuals, and like you kind of get that tone coming through, and it kind of shows like how desperate some of these kids might have been to like join this kind of thing. And then they also go through like a bunch of stuff, like they talk about like how they had a choice to be here, but they didn't really have a choice. They had nothing else going for them outside of the world. They really did a good job. Yeah, it's
a nice little nod toward like Vietnam again, where it's like or military in general, where it's technically voluntary, but a lot of people are kind of forced in those positions.
I was gonna say they all say essentially no one volunteered for it. They're all being forced to do that, and I think showing that blind cat kind of represents them blindly following the system that puts them in this situation, and they don't even really question it until it's kind of too late.
Nabil, going back to you then, what did you think about the kills then?
I talked a little bit about expecting more horror than I guess the gore aspect of it, and so
I guess just seeing those kids getting killed was not enough for you.
Yeah, not enough. I honestly think
Nabil's smoking in his theater.
yeah, I've seen worse.
That's all. Wow.
I was so seeing it. I understand why Stephen King wanted to see like the show the death and the killing of the kids. I think this film probably would have benefited from just being a PG-13 to get more of an audience, because the story itself, you didn't have to show the full gory details of somebody getting killed. You could have shown enough of it. We stretch PG-13 pretty far nowadays, and you tone on some of the language, maybe not show off some of the fecal matter that's turned around there, and you could have gotten a solid PG-13 out of this. So I think that it was fine, and I get the impact, and it is very abrasive and in your face when it happens, and you're like, oh, I didn't expect that. Okay, and it does set the tone, but I also feel like it could have reached a broader audience, and we could have toned it down a little bit, and I would have been fine with that too. I don't think it would have made much of a difference for me.
I think it adds being rated R. They don't need to hold back. They can show you the grittiness, the utter like desolation of everything. Honestly, so I think PG-13 it might have still worked, because I mean all the hungry won the same thing, but by seeing it though, and the kids letting them talk how kids actually talk, as we all know. I think that kind of added it for me, Nabil. Like I know for you, like you're saying no, but I think honestly, I'm glad. I'm glad. I didn't actually realize it. I even told Mikey we ate before, and I was like, I didn't even realize it was rated R until right before we saw the movie. I thought it was PG-13. Right. So, but then they throw like 3 F-bombs right there in the first 10 minutes. I was like, never mind. I was like, oh, never mind.
Truthfully, they do kind of hold back a little bit on the violence. It's graphic. There's a couple ones where they do show all the way, but there are others where they're just killed off screen, or you just hear it and they don't really show it
at the beginning, especially because again, I do think that they wanted to set that tone. Like the director was like, I want you to know. So. But as we go on to it, it's there, but it's just not as in your face. More like you know what to expect now.
It's less of a focus, and you're almost like the kids on the walk. Like they try to really ignore it. I mean, they're like still hearing it, and when it goes off, especially there's times where Raymond's like starts screaming and stuff because it's starting to get to him.
Right.
And
And you kind of
you know.
are in that shock with them, right? Because it's all a big surprise to everybody. And then as you go on, nobody wants to really see that anymore, and so you're trying to
and they'll
avoid it
keep
with the
walking,
audience, with the
and especially there's
the
some
kids.
there's some deaths with friends that are really like
Right.
pretty touching, and I thought that was pretty solid. I mean, there's a tank scene where I thought it was absolutely like insane.
That was
Dude,
crazy.
somebody gets crushed and they're still counting down. I'm like, dude, I don't think he's going to be able to hit that 3 miles an hour. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, just take him out, guys. So
Well, they did a really good job with just like they had like the warnings. They were like verbal warnings, basically saying, "Hey, you're not going fast enough." And I think just hearing that from the background, there was a few scenes they were just chatting and they're just saying like number 7, warning number 2, and they just had that
especially
going
at
on.
nighttime, Mikey.
Yeah,
I think people were starting to fall asleep.
yeah. So it was really interesting, and I think the impact from the audio cues and the stuff going on in the background, as well as the like very pinpointed versions of like the kills. I think it brings you into the movie a little bit better. So I didn't mind the gore and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Marco, did you feel this leaned more? Because Nabil's saying he wanted more, he thought it'd be more horror. Do you think this was more into an action horror, like psychological drama?
I think it's more kind of psychological horror because, like we were just Mikey was just saying, you hear the warnings in the background, you hear gunshots in the background. When it gets dark, like you said, that's when they really start hounding on people because they're falling asleep. You hear shots pop in, you don't see everything. And in a way, it was almost like a war movie like that, where you're hearing gunfire, you don't know where it's coming from. You're hearing like the enemy like surround you to a point. Like the soldiers surrounding them were their enemy. They had them surrounded. There's nowhere for you to go, except to try to survive. That's it. Just like in most of these wars, these young kids just got to keep pushing. Not even their choice to even be there. They don't even want to be there. And I think because of that, it draws in these psychological stressors that kind of, bring anxiety and fear. And I think the movie did a good job with that.
Definitely. And then, Mikey, what did you feel about like the direction that the director took here, Director Francis Lawrence? I know we had talked about how there's not much that technically happens, but did you think it was handled well with pacing the film? Because technically, it's technically kind of a slow burn. I mean, there are those kills scattered throughout and such, but did that work for you?
yeah, I mean, I said it in the intro, like I didn't know what to really expect. I thought there was going to be more that happened, but it didn't bother me that not much happens. Like the conversations they had, the influence that they had with this like whole friendship, and like how they were influencing each other. The Peter was actually like influencing how Raymond thought. He almost like changes his mind on like what his his wish would have been if he won. And then, vice versa. They're like talking about these things, and they're just like, just the experience and the bond they had was like changing them. So it was just really interesting to me. Like, I don't normally like the slow burn ones. I'm normally the person that like falls asleep when nothing's happening, that kind of stuff here. But this movie, just the dialogue they had, the performances everybody had, they were all great. And I don't know, something about it just kept my attention, and it did not bother me one bit that they were just walking for almost the whole movie. So they kept my interest the whole time.
It was the long walk.
It's the title of the movie.
Not the slight jog. Certainly. How was your guys' theater experience, Nabil?
It was fine. It wasn't as rowdy as I was hoping it to be for a Stephen King film, like people getting excited about it. I think the only audible noise from the audience was really the first part where somebody ends up crapping themselves and they're just kind of like, oh.
I was laughing.
Yeah.
We surprisingly had like a pretty packed theater, actually, man.
Yeah, we were pretty.
Yeah, our theater was full. I will say that it was. Full.
I was surprised. I was like, I didn't think this was going to be like this with the Demon Slayer movie out, but okay.
Multiple showings were sold out. We only had a couple at the theater I was in, but yeah, they were pretty sold out. So yeah.
What about you, Marco?
Amount of people. I saw it in the afternoon, but there were still quite a few people in there.
I think word of mouth's going around about it. People were telling people like, hey, it's actually pretty good. So let's get into our spoiler section here. Before we get into that, we're going to do our overall ratings, because I mean, there's sequence and stuff that I want to talk about, but honestly, it's hard to do it without spoiling in the movie. and getting a little bit more into it. What were you guys' ratings, and would you recommend it? Start with you, Mikey.
I give this one 4 stars. I liked it a lot. It was different than I expected, or I didn't really have expectations, but it really was worth the watch, and I would definitely recommend people watching it.
Yeah. Marco, what about you?
I didn't really show it, but I really love this movie, man. So I give it 4.5 stars, and I would definitely recommend it.
Nabil?
I gave this a little less. I gave it 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. I think it was a good film. I just had to. You've heard my qualms about some of the storylines, but overall, I think it's worth watching. It's a good Stephen King film.
I gave this one 4 stars. I think it was solid performances and a really good story, and I'd highly recommend it. Let's get into our spoiler section here. So if you don't want to get spoiled with the movie, go ahead and skip ahead to our outro. We're going to jump into a couple of discussions here, including the ending. So I'd recommend probably skipping it, just so if you want to do see it, you're completely surprised. All right, so spoiler section time. So couple things. So Raymond is really on a path of revenge because the major found out his dad was underwater basket weaving or something. I don't know what he was doing. He gave him music, rap music or something. I don't know. He introduced him to thoughts and ideas that weren't accepted by the government, and then he shows up and basically he gives him an option to, like, you can either join us or I'm gonna kill you, basically. And he ends up, in defiance, getting killed. And that's why Raymond's whole point is his wish is to ask for a carbine, which is a rifle, so that if he wins, he can kill the major and get his revenge, because he feels like he has to do this. And in this process, though, Peter's kind of letting him know, like, that might not be the best route to take, honestly, because you can actually use your wish to do. He's saying it like you can do it to do good for people, and make a real difference. Because I'm assuming a lot of people, because they were talking about some past winners, somebody wanted like an elephant or something. How random that is.
Stupid.
I thought of Nabil for some reason. But
just riding the elephant.
Yeah, then he wrote it home. He's like,
sure.
Just for him. And then what, right?
Like Mowgli. He's like, I'm Mowgli now.
Oh my God.
So, and it seems like not a lot of the winners, or they're probably so like burnt by the end of this all that they kind of just want stuff to disappear with. I think it was kind of the general consensus I was getting off that. Like, nobody's done anything to benefit other people. So what did you think about that, Marco?
I thought that was, I didn't really get to talk about this before spoilers, but I think this kind of parallels, some of, today's problems and stuff, where everybody's just trying to, get by and get theirs, and not really thinking about, anybody else and stuff. And it showcases that, everyone just kind of steps on each other to, get to the top. And that's essentially what this race was doing. But Peter, on the other hand, saw some, he was very positive and wanted to inspire that, hey, let's do something. But like you said, then again, how come nobody's done it? If you could do it with your winnings. And I think it just showcases the problems. The problem is like the entire system. Like, you have to topple that whole thing down, the whole long walk. And they even talked about it too and said, I would want to wish for this long walk to not be a process, to not even, exist. And they were like, they'll never let you do that. And so it made sense that Raymond wanted to do that, because he felt, well, that's one way to do it, is to show, let's stand up to this guy and get rid of him, and show we're not gonna be your pawns anymore in this stupid race.
Before he gets to Peter, and Peter kind of talks about it, like, he thinks he is doing good for the world by getting rid of this guy.
Yeah.
Right. Because his dad was like, hey, we're doing some stuff you're not supposed to do. And he thought that was like the way it should be. Like, we should be able to read any book we want. We should be able to like listen to music we're not supposed to. We should be able to do those things. And this guy, this was like his person that is making everything like that. He's making the rules. He's doing everything about it, when it's obviously not just the one guy, but in his mind, he thinks he's doing good for everybody by killing this guy. And
well, you recognize that they're children, right? Like, it's the naivete of the whole idea of, like, they think that if I kill this one thing rather than what he's representing, that it's going to solve everything.
And
but
Peter's trying to explain it to him like there's a bigger thing. I mean, it doesn't help that he looks like he's 26, Nabil. Okay, so
I know, right?
I mean, let's face it. Okay, a lot of these guys, I'm like, you sure about that? 16, huh?
Got a full beard growing over there. It's only
what
5 days.
What are you boys eating in
out.
Kentucky? God damn. Jesus Christ. What year is this again? Fuck, I thought there was a lack of food in places.
They were they were supposed to be like a little older because did they say Hank was married? So
Well,
I mean,
Hank's married, but I mean, you can get married when you're 17, 18. I mean,
Some
guess.
states you could be
That's
16,
true.
guys. Just letting you know.
but
Yeah,
it
that's
doesn't help that like Hank looks the youngest out of everybody.
He
even
does,
though, I mean,
yeah.
once again, I mean, he looks like he's fucking 14, maybe.
Well, Curly's the youngest one, right? They even make a
yeah.
joke about it.
I mean, I hope so.
But it kind of showed that both Raymond and Peter were both right in their sense. Like at some
Yeah,
point
they both
you
got
got
good arguments. Yeah.
you got to stand up for yourself, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but you got to be able to do it for like everyone, not just for your own self gain.
Because Raymond
And-
goes into it with his own. He's just looking out for him because like he wants that
Right.
revenge for his dad.
Right? He's not doing it for the group. whole.
The scene of him going up to his mom and trying to apologize like broke my heart.
Yeah.
Like such
Tough,
a good
man. That
scene.
was rough.
Yeah, where he's like, "I'm so sorry. Like, hey, I shouldn't have ever done this," and Peter has to hold him back because he's about to step on the sidewalk. That's how much because he just wants to hug his mom one last time. That part was
Yeah.
very touching. There's a couple
My-
scenes like that.
Mine
so.
was actually Hank. I know I've mentioned him already, but Hank's death, man, when he's takes the gum out of his mouth and like that's done. He's done for. And his death was pretty gruesome too, man. They gut shot him first and then just leave him there.
It
And
made
I
him
was like,
suffer, yeah.
yeah, I'm like, dude, that's really messed up.
And not just that, it's like Arthur's kind of going to him as well and saying like it's my fault kind of stuff right afterwards. Like, damn,
Right.
it's like super touching.
Yeah, he's trying to grab him, but then that's when Raymond and them roll up like, "Yo, we got to get out of here, dude." He's like, "If you stay here, you're gonna die too."
Right.
Yeah, and the killing blows when he said, "I just wanted to hold him." I was like,
Yeah.
damn,
It's
dude,
crazy.
Yeah.
that one gets
Even, like,
gets to me.
Arthur's death too. Like you find out that he's internal bleeding and all this stuff.
That one got me too when he gives him the necklace and he says, "Give this to my grandma." I was
But
like,
he gives it to Raymond though, and then actually I was kept thinking about that the whole time, Marco. I was like, I guess that's not going to his grandma.
She ain't ever going to see that.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm thinking about it. I was like, yeah, she probably should have put that around Peter's neck, but
it's
that's
a good way
fine.
to bait and switch though if you've never read the book.
Right.
Yeah, apparently in the book, Raymond actually survives. He's the one that wins, but he goes so crazy. He thinks somebody's still there in the race, and he keeps, even after he wins, he keeps still walking because he's just never going to be the same.
Oh, so Nabil on a Friday night bender, got it.
Pretty much wandering the streets and the alleys, finding. They call him the cat man. He's just like meow, sitting on top of a trash can.
noises.
Yeah, no, I have whiskers. Meow. Sad though. I like to see because Arthur tells him, "Hey, promise me you won't look when they do it," because he's like he knows he's done.
Yeah.
And so that one happens too. Another big one is Stebbins reveals he's actually like the Major's like bastard child. And that his whole point of trying to win was like his wish was just like, hey, can I be part of your family? And I was like, oh,
Right.
that's kind of fucking sad.
Yeah.
I know Nabil
Prove
was kind of
himself.
hinting at that in a bit.
Mhm.
So
The big intense scene too when they're going up the steep hill and just
Oh,
they're
they're
just
just
they're
gunning
dropping
people.
fools left
Dropping.
and right. That's definitely the scene in the movie. I was like, dang, dude, that's crazy.
and the scene
Seven like warns them too. Like,
Mhm.
it's-
oh yeah,
you're gonna
he's
see
like,
a lot
hey,
of people
this,
dead. Yeah.
most like what is it like 60% of people from at this point are taken out or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then your scene that you were mentioning, Bill, is when Collie basically just grabs a gun.
Yeah, kind of like in respect of Hank, to be honest. He's like, I'm just going to do this and fuck these guys. And he actually ends up taking one out. So good for him. He got so.
And then immediately gunned down though.
I was like, he probably could have taken two, though. He hesitated.
Yeah, I was like, why you
"You could've
hesitate,
taken
dude?
the
You
other
know
one."
you're dead already. Like,
Yeah, they're going to kill you. Shoot some more.
For real.
yeah.
But it showed, hey, those guys aren't immune either, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that guy was probably just doing his shift too. He's like, dude, are you serious?
I wasn't supposed to be here.
Yeah. He's like, great.
dude, I was
Barker-
filling in for Fred.
Yeah. Barkovich going absolutely mad. He kind of thinks like everyone's turning on him because he is the reason why Curly is killed in the beginning. Did you like how they kind of built that up, Nabil?
Yeah, I really liked how they built him up because you really thought he was going to go psycho and like just take out a bunch of people, especially after the first one. He's just going to snap and say, fuck it, I'm going to go crazy. But it was a complete opposite. He, like you were saying earlier, James, he was having a mental breakdown. Just
Yeah,
it was
straight up.
traumatizing for him, and he didn't want to be seen as a killer, and he didn't want the bloods on his hands, and it just his mental degradation throughout the whole part of like the whole walk was just him slowly breaking down, eventually snapping. Like it was I thought that was a very interesting way of showing somebody kind of having a slow breakdown in that scene, because we don't see that with everybody else. Everybody else is very trying to be resilient, but he was there just trying to keep things together. So that was
it's kind of the way messed up too. Why I did it? It's like he literally was just kind of fucking around with somebody.
Yeah.
And then it led to someone's death. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I like how they turned it on its head, and in other movies, like he would have been the psycho guy, like, you know, taking guys out, like Nabil said, you know, it looked like he was going to do. But I like how they turned it on its head, and he was breaking down internally. And the scene where he's really like reaching out to Raymond and be like, can I be part of you guys? Can I be part of the pact? And stuff.
It's right after they're talking about like getting money for Hank's wife.
All right.
And even Stebbins and Collie, I like that scene. Collie's like, "Don't ever say I didn't do anything for you, Peter."
Right?
I was like, that's cool. They're all like that's kind of the somewhat bonding, even though they're not cool,
yeah.
you know.
No, I like that. I like that he was having a true humanistic moment. And it's like, hey, I know we haven't been, you know, on the same side, you know, this whole time, but can you just do me the solid? Can I be part of you guys? And it showed the humanistic side and showed that they're, again, it's the whole setup of this long walk, the whole setup that they're in that causes them to act and react the way they do. And they come to realize that when it's too late and try to, you know, bond together.
Definitely. And then I think one of the biggest moments, obviously, is at the end, where throughout the film, Peter's kind of said already, like, hey, when I'm done, I'm just going to sit down and just let it happen, you know, when I'm good and ready. But we see in the rain, this happens, but Raymond says, hey, let's walk for a little while longer. But he actually just lets Peter go ahead of him, and then Raymond stops and is killed, basically. Raymond ends up dying.
Right.
What did you guys think of that scene?
I think the scene was, you know, very heart-wrenching to see Raymond kind of sacrifice that. But here's what I didn't like was Peter fulfilling Ray's wish, because I felt like Raymond sacrificing himself was because he knew that Peter was the better of them and that he was going to do good, and that just went all out the window because they ended up shooting the Major.
I mean, that's what I like about it.
I didn't like that. I thought that was like, you know, I feel like
some people think that actually didn't happen, though. You read about that?
No,
just be in his head, because there's like nobody else around after it happens.
As he kind of walks out,
and he just walks away in his head.
Maybe because he would have been gunned down immediately, right?
That's what I would think, right? Yeah.
So again, I like what it represents. Like he understands like where Raymond is coming from, and I think he starts to understand why it is Raymond wants to do it. It's not, you know, yeah, Raymond had selfish intentions, get revenge for his dad. But I think Peter also uses it to kind of, you're broadcasting in front of the whole world and stuff. And it's him standing up to the long walk and, you know, saying like, it's got to end here. Like
very Hunger Games-esque.
Yeah.
Like no President Snow, you know?
Yeah, but he's not President Snow. He's not like the head of the whole thing. He's the guy who's, again, representation. Like the fact that Peter knows that, but Peter knows that.
He's a pretty big figurehead, though, I think.
That's why I feel like him shooting him down was like, he knew all the stuff he was talking about in the long walk. And then I know he's doing it for his friend, and that's the idea of it. But I feel like that would have been out of character, or at least he would have been smarter about it to do it after he's got the millions and has a little influence, come back and kill the Major.
I wish they had done it where the movie just ends when they're like, what do you want? And if he had said a carbine and they just cut to credits, I would have been like, oh, shit, not bad.
That would have been interesting.
That would have been.
That's what I thought they were going to do at first.
That would have been a better cut and not the corny line like, for Raymond.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I thought that was
I was like, yeah,
Nabil, you said something that made me wonder something. Didn't they mention that you never see any of the winners again? Like they all just disappear.
Yeah, but they all got because they're hella rich and they're trying to run away.
They get prize money too. That's why.
Yeah.
Do you think they're real winners? Do you think that they actually survive this, or do you think they just take them and just execute them?
Oh, that's an idea. They might,
because they're never seen again.
The fact that they know the guy rode the elephant back, I think the win. I don't think they kill him off.
Yeah, but that could be for spectacle, right?
Right.
So like they give them what they want, they walk them off.
It's
no one's ever going to see them ever again.
Because
so
in the Hunger Games,
yeah, I can see it happening.
they show the previous winners and stuff, but you never see any of the winners. It's almost like
winners
because they
village,
say
actually.
The whole point of the race is to up production and it inspires people to work and stuff. So I think they are the sacrificial lambs
to
of
give
that.
them hope. Yeah.
I still feel like they would have, if no one ever heard from the people again, then no one would ever do it then.
That's what propaganda's for, James.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like somebody has to be making some appearance.
true.
I bet if they expanded this
true.
into a franchise, you would find out. Come on, they would Hunger Games the shit out of this. They'd be like, this next run is going to be all the winners of the past fucking 50 ones. And like,
yeah,
right,
true.
now they're doing it again. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
come on. As much as we want to be like, oh, it's the evil empire, I'm like, they probably legitimately get this stuff, or else, I mean, no one, they'd figure it out
True,
eventually.
it would make more sense to kind of showcase the winners.
They gave an elephant. If they were going to do it, they wouldn't have given the elephant. They would have just killed the fucking guy. And be like, oh, yeah,
He's
you
like,
got the
sure,
elephant.
kid, sure.
I'm
Right
like,
in
I
this
don't know.
room.
I didn't see Nabil get the elephant. They're like, well, yeah, you got it. Don't worry. He's swinging around the jungle with him.
You ran into
Wait.
the alley after, remember?
Yeah, he's on a bender. Okay. How did this compare to other Stephen King adaptations? By the way, quite a few. I don't know what your guys' favorites are. Most recently, Life of Chuck, but before that, It. You know,
you brought up something interesting. It's almost like a mix of Stand By Me and The Shawshank Redemption, kind of.
it is. Yeah, I can see that.
Both good movies too, so good mix to have.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the better like adaptations of his books put on the screen, because there's been some mid ones and there's been some not so good ones, but this one definitely is like in the upper tier, I think, as far as some of his better movies.
I mean,
he's got some ultimate classics, right? I mean,
Yeah.
in a lot of different genres too. But yeah, I agree with what Nabil said. I think this is one of the better ones. I like this one a lot.
I think
Yeah,
it helps that
this-
it's very relevant. So
it's very
that gives you
touching.
that extra boost. Yeah.
Like I said, I did not expect. I legit teared up like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, ugh, my heart. Talking about life. So, would you guys have survived the long walk?
The first hill, I would have been out. When the grade came up, I wouldn't be able to maintain that the 3 miles going up.
It's
that hill.
tough.
Yeah, that's where I know I would have been out. Like I probably could have muddled through the rest of it, but once you hit that hill and trying to stay,
I mean,
at
I
3
don't know if I
miles-
could do 250 miles or what the heck that is. That's
definitely
pretty
not.
intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they get to 300 miles?
It's
But-
quite a bit.
but yeah.
So.
I think at $150 I'd be out. Maybe even I was like, dang, I don't know.
Even before, maybe. I mean, depends on
Yeah.
the shoes, I guess, man.
I'd probably make it about a half a mile, maybe a mile.
Yeah,
I would
get
question,
those curb sketchers.
Could
you know?
you have done the screenings they were doing at the 3 miles an hour the whole time for an hour 40?
For an hour 40?
Yeah, I could have done that.
For
I
3
could've
miles
done
an hour, I could have probably done that.
That's what I run right now at the
Me-
treadmill. So
Yeah,
or walk. That's a speed walk. It's not a run. So
right.
yeah.
I mean, I do that at 30, 40 minutes at a time.
No
already,
incline, just flat? Yeah, 3 miles.
So. Oh, if
You
they
could do
do
it for an hour
incline,
and a
I
half.
could do it at. I mean, I've been doing it at 12 incline. So I mean, that's why
I wonder
was
if
like,
you'd have to incline it when they're doing that incline though.
I could
Yeah,
do it.
there you go.
Which I
I
mean,
mean, I
it's
could
not
do
that
it.
bad. It's just a few minutes.
It's an hour
Relatively.
45. I could do that. I could have done that one and not look like a
Yeah.
fool. But the real one, I there's no way.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
Unless I mean, just falling asleep alone would be where I get killed.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like,
I could
whoops,
stay away.
dozed
that-
off, walked right off the trail. Dang, I don't even know where I'm at, but I just got shot 4 times.
No, you know what do you in, James? We all know what do you in.
That or the pooping, apparently.
the
pooping.
poop.
My tummy hurts.
Dang, you guys eating food at the same time? Yikes, I didn't train for this at all. That wraps up episode 207 of the Movie Pals podcast. Nabil, let everyone know how they can keep up with us.
You can find us on every major podcast platform, so follow and listen wherever you like. For links to all our socials and more, head over to linktree/moviepalspod. That's linktr.ee/moviepalspod. And don't forget to subscribe, or we'll volunteer you as tribute for the next long walk. But also, so you never miss an episode.
Check us out on TikTok at MoviePalsPod for sneak peeks, quick takes, and behind the scenes clips. We've also got a brand new Discord community for all you film fans. Share your hot takes, ask questions, and hang out with us and the fellow listeners. The invite link is in our link tree.
And coming up next is episode 208, where we're reviewing the new Paul Thomas Anderson film, One Battle After Another.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Until next time, this is the Movie Pals signing off.